everyone, welcome to my channel. I'm Shayne, I write romance and romantic fiction, and today I'm talking about all of the spooky, dark, twisty, witchy romantic books I'm reading for the summertime. So first, let's start by talking about summer. I used to love summer. Summer was when we were out of school and I got to spend all day reading all the books that I wanted to read, not the ones that were on the assigned reading list. It meant staying out past dinner time, playing with my friends. It meant running barefoot through the grass. And then even as I got older, like even when I was in college, it meant no classes. Well, except for that one summer I had to make up some classes. But other than that, it meant no classes, do whatever I want, maybe a pool party here and there. Oh, and of course, the hope and possibility of a summer romance. And then even after having to enter the workforce, it meant that it wasn't pitch black when you got off work and headed home. It meant that you got more hours of daylight and sun. Sun. Did I mention sun? I am a double fire sign. I love the feel of the sun on my skin, and I love being warm, like warm all the time. I used to love summertime. Then lockdown happened, and it seems like that year and every year since, for me anyway, summer has been on some bullshit. And last summer, I remember specifically last summer, when I was realizing with a little sense of anxiety that I was traumatized because this was now like the third or fourth year of misery in the time of summer. And I was at TJ Maxx because I like to go to TJ Maxx to treat myself, kind of like share at the mall. All of you clueless fans, you know what I'm talking about. And I was at TJ Maxx and I walked in and there was all these Halloween decorations up already. And I'm like, what's going on here? I know about Christmas in July, but I had never heard of Halloween in July. And the more I looked at all of the fun decor, I was like, you know what? This summer has been on some nonsense as well, and I am really ready for summer to be over. Bring on fall and bring on Halloween. And then right after that, I started noticing that on Instagram and YouTube that there's lots of people who like to try to bring some Halloween into their lives in the summertime, including reading books that you would normally read during Halloween, like all the darker, spookier books. I'm like, okay, I'm not the only one. And you know what? Maybe I can combat some of this bad summertime's trauma by indulging in reading some of the spooky books that I normally reserve for like October and November. I can just get started on it now, which means I can read more of those books. So I am taking that win. And this year, I have a nice little pile of books that I'm going to try to read for the summer. First up is Vampires of El Norte by Isabel Cañas. Now, I have a little story about this book. First off, so this book came out last year, and when I first saw that it was coming out, I'm like, oh, I absolutely want to get my hands on this one, and I immediately put it on hold at the library. I already had to wait behind some other people, but it wasn't too bad, so I remembered anyway. And then it got to be like mid-November, and I'm like, whatever happened to that book that I put on hold? It's like, I want to read it now. And I went and looked at my holds list, and this book wasn't there. And I'm like, I knew I put this book on hold. So then I had to put it on hold again, and now I was behind lots of people. So by the time I got a hold of this last year, it was like December. And then we were getting into the winter holidays, you know, biscochitos and hot chocolate and holiday carols. And I'm like, yeah, I'm not feeling this book right now. Maybe I'll try again next year. So that time has come. This year, going through some stuff that's still ongoing. So I'm like, you know what? I am ready for love and vampires on the battlefield. So let me tell you a little bit about this book. First of all, I want to shout out her first book that came out a couple years ago, maybe 3, The Hacienda. That book was absolutely amazing. That book was Rebecca meets The Haunting of Hill House, but set in Mexico after the Mexican War of Independence. And the main character, the protagonist, Beatrice, her father was assassinated in all of the events leading up to the war. And she and her mother have to rely on the charity of family members who treat them like crap. So Beatrice wants to get out of this situation, and she's at this ball and she meets this Don who's handsome and rich, and she's like, here's my ticket. This guy, I like him, I can marry him, and then become the mistress of his house, the hacienda, and bring my mom here, and we will be set for life. I can get us out of this horrible situation with the nasty relatives. So she goes to the house, and I think he immediately leaves. And, oh, the other thing is that he had a wife before her who mysteriously died. And when she gets to the house and she's kind of left alone with like just his sister and like the people who run the house, she starts noticing these malevolent forces, and like she's realizing that she's in danger, but she's determined to stick it out. And because she's like, if she has a plan, she's going to bring her mother so they can be set for life. So she enlists the help of a local priest who also happens to be a witch, but he's hiding that he's a witch because that type of person, people who have, magical powers or use some of those old folklore remedies, are being persecuted. So he has to keep that under wraps. And I just loved him. I thought he was just the most wonderful hero. I was so in love with him. Andres was his name. And it was just one of those things that made me go, my goodness, do I need to find a Catholic priest who's also a witch? I know that sounds nuts, but I'm actually kind of serious about that. So anyway, needless to say, I love the hacienda, so I'm like really excited for Vampires of El Norte. Let me read you what it's about. Vampires and vaqueros face off on the Texas-Mexico border in the supernatural western from the author of the hacienda. As the daughter of a rancher in 1840s Mexico, Nena knows a thing or two about monsters. Her home has long been threatened by tensions with Anglo settlers from the north, but something more sinister lurks near the ranch at night, something that drains men of their blood and leaves them for dead, something that once attacked Nena 9 years ago. Believing Nena dead, Nestor has been on the run from his grief ever since, moving from ranch to ranch, working as a vaquero. But no amount of drink can dispel the night terrors of sharp teeth. No woman can erase his childhood sweetheart from his mind. When the United States invades Mexico in 1846, the two are brought abruptly together on the road to war. Nena as a curandera, a healer striving to prove her worth to her father so that he does not marry her off to a stranger. Yeah, that's a really strong motivation there. And Nestor as a member of the auxiliary cavalry of ranchers and vaqueros. But the shock of their reunion and Nena's rage at Nestor for seemingly abandoning her long ago, oh, I relate, abandonment issues, yeah, girl, is quickly overshadowed by the appearance of a nightmare made flesh. So yeah, this is a perfect summer horror story. It's got a central love story, and actually it also takes place in the summertime, because as I'm reading, there are these like very vivid descriptions of the horrors of not only, people dying on the battlefield and trying to tend to their wounds, but it's like blazing hot as well, adding to the misery. So, Vampires of El Norte, Isabel Cañas. Next up, I am gonna get into The Unmaking of June Farrow by Adrienne Young. Let me find a picture of it here. I have it on my library app. Here we go. There we go. The Unmaking of June Farrow by Adrienne Young. She also wrote Spells for Forgetting, which I think I did read last year in October or November, sometime in the fall, and I loved that book too. And then this one, let me get the, there we go, about this book. It was like, here, just a minute ago. All right, A woman risks everything to end her family's centuries-old curse, solve her mother's disappearance, and find love in this mesmerizing novel from the author of Spells for Forgetting. In the small mountain town of Jasper, North Carolina, June Farrow is waiting for fate to find her. The Farrow women are known for their thriving flower farm and the mysterious curse that has plagued their family line. The whole town remembers the madness that led to Susanna Farrow's disappearance, leaving June to be raised by her grandmother and haunted by rumors. It's been a year since June started seeing and hearing things that weren't there. Faint wind chimes, a voice calling her name, and a mysterious door appearing out of nowhere, the signs of what June always knew was coming. But June is determined to end the curse once and for all, even if she must sacrifice finding love and having a family of her own. So, sounds absolutely amazing. I started reading it. This is definitely more, not so much spooky, but more mysterious and witchy. It actually even takes place during the summer solstice, so it's a perfect summer book. And I think there might even be a love triangle in this. I'm not sure. We'll find out. But I love a good love triangle, so I'm very excited about this. That is The Unmaking of June Farrow by Adrienne Young. Okay, next up on my list, now we're getting into a book that has no supernatural elements. It's not horror, it's not thriller, no magic, no monsters, no vampires. It's grounded in real life, but hear me out, because it is still horrifying. It is called I'm a Fan by Sheena Patel. Let me see if I can get the cover up real quick so you can see it. This is a book that I have been wanting to read since I heard about. I think it came out like maybe, there it is, I'm a Fan, Sheena Patel. I think it came out maybe a couple years ago. I first saw it on another booktuber's channel, Savage Reads. And the way he talked about it, I'm like, oh, this sounds amazing. I want to read it. And then I also saw it on Alexandra Roseland's channel, and she loved it too. She read it in a day or two. I'm like, how do people read so fast? I'm kind of a slow reader. So here is the tagline. I stalk a woman on the internet who is sleeping with the same man as I am. So this is, in this book, the protagonist, she has this kind of obsession with this guy who is already seeing somebody else and is also married. And he treats our protagonist like absolute dirt. And so the book is kind of this horrifying, following her as she's going through this obsession, not only with him, like trying to make him give her what she's looking for, which is, some attention, but she also wants him to commit to her. And she's also become obsessed with the woman that he clearly prefers to her. That he's obsessed with this woman the way she's kind of obsessed with him. So then she becomes obsessed with this woman and stalks her online because that's the only way she has access to her. I think she lives in America and our protagonist lives in the UK, and she's an Indian woman. And so she is kind of obsessed with this woman that he's obsessed with because she's trying to figure out, well, what is it about her that you like that you're not finding in me? What about her can I try to imitate so that you'll instead pick me? And so it's more and more, it's just gets more and more harrowing, like the lengths she goes to try to infiltrate the mystery of what would make this man choose her. And she continues to put up with more and more just terrible treatment to where you're just like, girl, what are you doing? And then I started thinking, oh, well, ain't that embarrassing? Because there were some times in my life, way, way, way in the past, probably not as much in the past as I would like, but there were times in my life when I was so into somebody and so desperate for their attention and so desperate to be regarded as like a partner and a sexual being that I was just hanging on for scraps. And it took longer than it should have, longer than I would have liked. It took longer than I would have liked to realize I don't give a fuck about you, girl. You gotta let this go. You gotta figure out, you gotta get your life right and keep it pushing. But alas, those are some lessons that we learn in life, and it's just like, kind of like too close to home, horrifying to read about somebody else who's going through it. And also, the other thing is that she's starting to make correlations between her situation, because except for her family, she is the only woman of color in this cast of characters, as far as I can tell. So it's an Indian woman amongst a brown woman amongst all these white people, and she's starting to make correlations between how badly she's being treated and how badly she feels in her romantic personal life, and the larger societal system of racism and colonialism. And I'm here for it. So that is I'm a Fan by Sheena Patel, a horrifying summer read of the real kind. And also sort of having to do with romance, because, you know, she is trying to make a romance happen with this guy. And I use that term loosely because it's kind of almost the opposite of that. All right, next up on the list, this is one that I have been wanting to read for a while. So Close by Sylvia Day. I love Sylvia Day's Bared to You series. That was a erotic romance that a series that she came out with a few years ago, particularly the first 3 books in that series I absolutely loved. This book is not a romance per se. It's more of what, I think they actually have it here. It's more of a domestic suspense, domestic thriller, I think. Domestic suspense. It even says, a lushly gothic novel of domestic suspense. So Close is an emotionally intense and scorchingly sensual story of love, greed, and ambition. I mean, gotta love that. I have started it. I really do want to finish it. Look at that. Look at that cover. It's giving me like Taylor Swift Reputation era vibes with the snake. Love it. So here is the gist. Widower Kane Black remains ruinously married to his late wife, Lily. Grief has hollowed him until he sees a woman with his wife's inimitable beauty on Manhattan streets. He whisks her up to his towering penthouse, protectively guarded, nestling her in dark opulence where Lily's memory is a possessive, beguiling force. So it's not clear, when it says he whisks her up to his towering penthouse, it's not clear whether that is consensual or not. This could be kind of a kidnapping. Ooh. Dark and twisty. Aaliyah, Kane's mother, deals in science. There are too many questions, too few answers about Lily, and too much at stake. Lily has dangerous control over Kane. Lily meaning both his late wife and this woman who may or may not be his wife, but who looks so much like her that he's become just as obsessed with her. There can be only one queen on this family's throne. So the mother's like, this woman's not replacing me. Amy, Kane's sister-in-law, so that means she must be Lily's sister. So the sister of the wife has been bloodied by deceit and betrayal, and she's devolving into murderous rage. There we go. Now we're getting to it. She's paid too high a price and now intends to claim what she's owed. 3 women, linked by buried secrets, circle the man who unquestionably accepts the return of his beloved long-dead wife. Yet Kane is happier than he's ever been, and he'll do anything to stay that way. So, yeah, this sounds really interesting. Very gothic, obsession, love, all of that. So Close by Sylvia Day. All right, last but not least on this list, now we're really getting into the twisty, dark, sexy of it all. Cruel Seduction by Katee Robert. This is the 5th book in her Dark Olympus series, and there's already like 2 books. There's already one other book after this one, and another one that's getting published in like less than a month, I think. I'm really, really behind. But this one, so Cruel Seduction, when Katee Robert talked about this on her Instagram, she said that this book has hate fucking. I'm like, ooh. And she said it has an open polyknot. I had to look up what an open polyknot is. So in this case, it is, yes. It is 4 people who are kind of all involved with one or more people in this group of 4. I think. Here we go. He was my enemy, my lover, my husband, and the one man I swore by all Olympus I would destroy. Aphrodite has never flinched at getting her perfectly manicured hands dirty, and she's not about to start now, even if that means marrying Olympus's #1 enemy, the new Hephaestus. She has a wicked plan to keep her deadly new husband off balance, seducing the one person he seems to care about most in this world, Pandora, a woman as beautiful as she is sweet. Two can play the seduction game, however, and Hephaestus is all too happy to put his new wife in her place. Yeah, we'll see how that goes. Her ex, Adonis, seems like he'll do the trick. It doesn't hurt that he's gorgeous in the way of fallen angels either. The only problem with using seduction as a weapon, stop using sex as a weapon. Hearts are all too quick to get involved, with Hephaestus and Aphrodite trading venomous strikes that feel a whole lot like foreplay. Lines become blurred and emotions entangled, but a broken heart may be the least of their worries. With unrest in Olympus reaching new heights, these bedroom games may have deadly consequences for themselves, their city, and everyone they've come to love. Yes, to all of that. As a matter of fact, listen to this. There's a dedication in here that says, to everyone who loves mess, this one's for you. I adore mess, so I'm pretty sure I'm going to adore this book. That is Cruel Seduction by Katee Robert. All right, so that is my stack, my TBR of all of the spooky, dark, twisty, sexy summertime reads. Cannot wait to get into it. So let me know, hit me up in the comments. What are your thoughts about summer? Has summer been treating you good, or are you over it? And what are you reading this summer? Are you going the dark and spooky route, or are you going for beach reads and fun in the sun? Let me know, give me some recommendations, because I can always use more books on my TBR, because it's not nearly big enough. All right, take care, and until next time, we'll see ya. Bye.